Sent out. Get the bot in here. Goodness gracious. Sorry. Ran into some stuff with the overlay. Let's get our Discord taken care of, and here we go. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is June 23rd. Did I forget? Oh, I forgot I hit record. Aha, there we go. It is June 23rd, and this is the June 23rd TextQuest Devstream. So, today we are going to be continuing our work with custom adventure stuff. Specifically, we're going to be continuing our work with custom adventure logic. And I have made a little bit more progress since last week, although admittedly I am still a little fuzzy on the entire backend structure. I know that, so one of the complications with this is that everything has to be exported to JSON at some point, which means that it needs to be readable from a JSON format. And I think I have an idea about how I'm going to do that, but it is somewhat weird how we are actually going to handle this. So I think the way that I'm going to do this on the front end is basically each logic node will have a to and from JSON function inside of it, as well as having a way to parse and export JSON for its values. And the reason that we need that is because we need a generic interface for what fields are on each node. And once we have that, we can arbitrarily create fields in each node, or for each node, and those can just show up in an inspector. Probably I'll have that like float over to the right or something. It's a little odd. I'm not entirely sure how I want the final visualization to be. I don't know if I want to have. So for those long-time viewers, there was I started work on a 3D custom content creation tool like years ago, and I didn't get too far with it, but I did get as far as loading in bitmaps, adjusting color and tint and all that for the material. And that was driven by an inspector that was just kind of glued to the far right that had information on each field. So you'd have like texture information for the bump map, for the albedo texture, then one for the normal map, one for roughness, one for metallic, blah 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 blah. And that was just fixed to the right. So we could do something like that. It's either going to be that, and that's probably the most likely, admittedly, because it's kind of the simplest interface. Or if I want to get super fancy with it, I would have it be where you like click on a node, and that pops up a like menu right next to the node that will then have all the information on it that you can scroll through. But I'm a little iffy on that. So that's kind of the general state of affairs currently. I suppose I should probably throw up coding because we're going to be doing coding today. But in any case, let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple of behaviors because I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to go to TextQuest, SOS, TextQuest, custom game, logic, behaviors, variables. We already have a get bool, so I'm going to say get float. Okay, we're going to leave that as is. I have also, by the way, added this field, GUID, and what I'm going to do here is I basically want to have a unique GUID for each logic, and I'm going to accomplish that in the laziest way possible, admittedly, which is just literally grabbing the GUID for the object itself. The reason I need that is because I need to know what behaviors to load whenever I export JSON or read in JSON. I need to know what the node was, and for that, I need to have a unique identifier that is consistent. That way I can have, get bool can be shared across different groups or different collections of behaviors. But I am going to, oh man, I should, well, that's fine. Okay. So I don't want to have multiple get bools. I would like to be ideally able to share this behavior across different collections. So I need a unique GUID that will not change from collection to collection. So having them have their own GUIDs and be able to read that in will be the easiest way to do that, I think. So let's go ahead and create SOS, text quest, custom game, logic, behaviors, variables, get integer, and one more. SOS, text quest, custom game, logic, behaviors, variables, and then get string. And as of right now, these don't actually do anything, but we will get that working. Probably not today. For now, I'm more focused on the structure. We'll probably get the fields set up for this, and that's probably going to drastically change what my original output values were. Kind of, in a weird way. Yeah, it's going to be super awkward. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to just add those to my list of behaviors here. I'm also going to real quick open up logic panel, logic list. I need to open up logic list real quick. We're going to fix some pivot issues that we had with our list as well. Give that a second to load. All right, so first things first, logic list. Oh wait, you're not. Hold on. Let's find all references. It's where you need to go, or where you get spawned in that I want to do this. Oh man, work with me here. Logic map. All right, so say logic list is equal to this with our list parent. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And that should take care of it, I think. Yes. Yes, okay. I bet this is causing all kinds of problems. This UI.get current reference resolution, isn't it? Yeah, it is. That's probably why. So, cool. Let's go ahead and let that go. I'm going to add a UI object to this. You're going to cause problems for me, I know. I'm going to go ahead and make this a 16:9 aspect ratio with, let's see, I think that's like, what is it, 1280 by 720. Should it actually choose to show me this? You can do it. 720. All right. So we'll keep that up there. That will probably fix that particular issue. Although actually I think my pivot is messed up there. But we'll see. I probably shouldn't be muttering into my phone. Or my headphone at least. Alright, so it popped off somewhere weird. Where'd you go? Well, that is not right at all. Now is it? Nope, that is totally incorrect. So I'm going to go ahead and say minimize on play. I do believe we are bouncing around incorrectly here. So I need to change the pivot of the parent, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. So what do we want the pivot of the logic list? So let's do the pivot as 0, 1. Nope. It's not that. Dang it. It looks like it's moving down and left by half of the screen roughly, which is not what I want, but does make some amount of sense. Actually, we do probably want this to still be at 1 or 0 and 1. Let's change this to 0 and 1. Okay, so you're not actually doing that. Okay. So if I go up to there, we set you back to 0.5, 0.5. Let's see if you change it all. Um, hmm. Well, I do not want you to be going back that far, and that is quite vexing. So, especially vexing because I can't get to it to close it. So let's go ahead and fix that real quick. Transform position, mouse pose.x minus width times that divided by half, which is about correct again. Transform to local scale, so this is all of our scaling. Times height and width, ratio dot width, 720. Right, so that should essentially get me, let's see, screen dot width. Oh, hold on. It's doing the full screen, aren't you? I'm going to turn it on, maximize on play. So before, when I was right-clicking here, it kind of showed up here in the middle. Let's see if it's closer now. No. It's about the same, actually. Okay. Well, actually, no, it's higher up. But it's about as far left, which makes sense because the pivot was reset. So actually, it should be like right about there. So that's about the same spot, roughly. Okay, then. Well, that's super weird. Let's go ahead. So this is the code that we used for our tooltips. Oh, hey, Jamaica. Welcome back. How you doing today? And now I have to stretch because I actually looked at the chat. It has been a while. Hopefully you have been doing well for yourself. Currently we are working on custom adventure logic. Or custom adventure custom logic, I guess would be the way I would say that. And I gotta do my fun screen adjustment because Unity's mouse position calculations are never correct, which is always infuriating. Except, for some reason, this one seems to be about correct. Well, it's not wrong. I just don't need to do this part for some reason. Mouse pose is equal to adjusted pose. I suppose I could try to do that. So let's just get rid of this bit. Which I mean, I guess means I need to do this. And to do. Let's grab you. Da-da. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and let that go. Good. Working on my programming language. Started to get annoying with my compiler, so I'll just use an interpreter to skip some steps so I can start working on the first self-hosting compiler. Fun. What issues were you running into with your compiler? Currently setting up an official GitHub repo for the language. Nice. Always fun to go open source. If only so that people can occasionally stop by and be like, this thing is awesome, or this thing is terrible. Why are you doing it? All right, there we go. So that fixed that problem, which is all kinds of weird. Why would I need to do that for tooltips, but not for this? Well, whatever. Cool. So we're going to go ahead and let that go. I'm going to grab my logic list here. We're going to set our pivot to be 0 and 1. That way everything kind of positions. We'll also give ourselves, I suppose we should have an offset that gets applied here as well. So we can say, like, give us a little bit of extra spacing. So we're going to come up to here, list parent, list prefab, list keys. We're just going to go ahead and say serialize field, tooltip, private, vector 2, list offset is equal to new vector 2. Honestly, I think we're going to be fine with just like 10f, 0f. So 10 pixels to the right and 0 pixels down or up. So we're going to say offset from the mouse cursor to... Oh, I should probably also make it draggable. That makes it so much more complicated. Offset from the mouse cursor to... what do I want to Offset from the mouse cursor to, I can't think of the right phrase here. The main issue code isn't that clean, and I'm having some issues with converting my IL to R, but mostly the not so clean code plus self-hosting compiler helps me find issues faster. No, that makes sense. Okay. Anyway, offset from the mouse cursor to spawn the list at, there we go. And that just means I'm going to have to come down here and say mouse pose plus, how do I want to, oh wait, was that might have been the reason. Okay, well, for now, we'll be fine here. So we're going to say plus offset, or list offset x, and then plus list offset dot y. Okay. Go ahead and grab that. I wonder if it's because of this. The render mode is overlay here instead of screen space. Dollars to donuts, that's what's going on. Well, we'll see once we start moving around, I guess. Okay. Let that compile. And now we should have a offset of 10 pixels to the right. So when I click, it should, instead of spawning directly at my pointer, it should be a little bit to the right of it. Like that. Nice. I like that. Okay, and then we can click. We have our different values here. These probably should come with a tooltip. So you can hover over them and they'll give you a little preview of what they do. Okay, let's go ahead and cancel. I suppose that means that I'm actually going to want to go down to here, to logic behavior, and then we're going to say serialize field tooltip protected string tooltip is equal to that. So we'll say message to show when the node is hovered. Well, when the logic button, logic behavior is hovered in the logic select list. Oof, that's a bit rough. Okay. And for that, I suppose we could also make that a text area. Text area 3, 5, that's probably enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and let that compile. And the next thing that we probably should take a look at while that's actually compiling, I started to code values into it, or into custom logic, and I think the way I'm going to approach this is every value will derive from this CG logic value, and it will have a name, that's the name of the field that gets displayed, as well as a value of some kind. So the default values are going to be, your staples. You'll have string, bool, float, int, color probably as a choice. Well, maybe. I doubt color will ever really be a thing, but there's no reason I can't code it as an example, I suppose, in case I do want it later. Also decided on the MIT license. Don't want the viral disease called GPL. Oh, for the GNU stuff? Wait, is that right? Is GPL the new Linux GNU licensing? Or is that still just called like GNU Linux or whatever? Yeah, I think I went with MIT for my Google Sheets add-on. Excuse me, need a drink. I think I went with MIT just because it was much much less of a headache. Plus, I generally wanted credit. I don't really care if people make money with it. I just want people to say like it was originally from this. Oh, really? That's pretty bad if you have the Linux creator bashing it. Um, I haven't looked at the version 3 one. Ugh. It must be pretty bad. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and let that go. We're going to just real quick kind of pop in here. So that tooltip will essentially show up. Goodness gracious, if it ever chooses to actually let me do that. Will essentially show up whenever you hover over one of these. We'll just get a little tooltip. Ooh, really? Why are you so big? Okay, hold on. Out of curiosity. So it was like cutting off my hover about there. That's kind of awkward. I would like to know why. Okay, so that's you. What about you? Is your label gigantic? Yes, your label is gigantic. I hate it when it does that. Okay. So let's go ahead and pull this out. I'm just going to set you to be 5 by 5 by 5 by 5. And then we should be good there. Okay. So that should fix that problem. Then we're going to need to go to behavior button. Oh man, behavior collection buttons. Probably that means that logic collection should have a tooltip as well. Alright, so we need to do a couple of things. One, we need to go to logic behavior, and I need to do public string tooltip get turn tooltip. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the same thing here. So serialized field, tooltip, text area 3 by 5. Then we're going to say protected. I guess I can make it private. Private string tooltip is equal to this. And then we're going to go ahead and come down here and just say public string tooltip get return tooltip. Okay. He had something like GPO v3 destroyed everything that v2 stands for. Ah, that's a pretty big failure on their part then. Eey. What's so different about 3 then? Because I mean, the spirit of GPL was basically like anyone can use this for any purpose, and you don't. I think was GNU's license the one that says like as long as you credit it, or was it just straight up like don't even have to credit it? That might have been Apache. I always get the licenses mixed up for the super more open-ended open source agreements. Okay, message to show when the collection is hovered over in the behaviors list. Alright, so we are going to let that compile real quick, and then we're also going to go ahead and jump on behavior button here. Okay. So we're going to need a label, and we are also going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and say private void on enable. I'm sorry, not on enable, on validate. That's what I want. You're going to be a dick about it, aren't you? Okay. Oh, fine. Oh, frick. Right. I have to do this. I hate having to do that. We have to compile with an if if Unity Editor compilation flag, because if we don't and we try to build, this will fail because their on validate function is wrapped in a freaking if Unity Editor statement. It drives me insane. Um, Difference. Let's see. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Wait, to keep software from being changed? Huh. That is a huge difference, actually. Huh. So, like, paragraph B there specifically states that um, they prevent software under this agreement from being changed at will. But that was the entire point of the GPL, I thought. Remove the requires code that uses it to be open source. Yeah, that is, I guess, a more reasonable approach. But then again, it's kind of a slippery slope, I suppose. So if the intent was basically to keep open source code open sourced, that kind of makes sense. But at the same time, I thought the like big spirit for the GNU license was that everyone should be able to benefit from whatever this license was, regardless of if it's proprietary or not. Um, because having a license require that something be open sourced almost, I don't want to say necessitates that people won't use that software then, but or as a basis for their technology, but it really limits the amount of people who would have an appetite for that. So getting rid of the open source component as a necessity is somewhat understandable, um, but requiring that it not be modified at all kind of seems to defeat the purpose. Because what's the point of licensing something if you literally cannot edit it to do what you want? You would only have to. It would have to be a black box, basically. Anyway, so I'm just gonna say if label is equal to null, label is equal to get component in children text mesh pro UGUI. Okay, there's that. And then I'm also going to go ahead and come down here. We're going to say serialize field, tooltip, private, not tooltip attribute. So we're going to come up here and say using sleepyal.common. I think this is tooltip rect. Yep. Tooltip rect is equal to null. We're going to say tooltip for the button, I guess. What a terrible tooltip. Um, and all we need to do here is say public string tool tip get return tooltip rect tooltip rect dot what did I content? Is that what it was? Yeah. And then set tooltip rect dot content is equal to value. Pretty sure this is what that is. I should probably copy that real quick. I should change that when the rect is hovered. Let's grab that. Okay. Alright, so now I can hover that text to show on the tooltip when the rect is hovered. Yes. Okay. And for this, we're probably going to want to. What do we want to do? Probably something similar to this first. rect. It's going to be equal to that. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and let that compile. Ooh, fun shader. I probably should make a custom editor for this so that it's not as painful, but it's probably not too bad, I guess. We're going to go ahead and grab this. I'm just going to put this out here. Oh, and it compiled right as I was dragging it. Of course. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab you. We're just going to go ahead and set this to, I don't know, have a width of 300, a height of 50. And we'll move it above here so that I can actually see it. That's pretty good. Let's go ahead and I suppose we'll put this on the button itself. So let's go ahead and give it a tooltip rect. Tooltip rect. We don't have to do anything with this. Our tooltip parent, that does get set at runtime, so it's not really a thing. Tooltip prefab, that does need to be pulled in. Of course, it doesn't really exist yet. Grab that. Tooltip spawning is going to be spawned around. Yeah, it's going to be the rect transform. The pivot's going to be 0, 1. That's probably fine. The anchors are going to be 0 and 1. That's also fine. And anchors max is 0 and 1. That's all fine. Tooltip offset, we'll just give that 10 again. I think we'll be fine there. All right, so let's go ahead and just hit. Before I forget, let's debug this, make sure that it's all saved on there. You're not. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and click you. Go to normal, and then we're just going to apply these changes. Oh, I suppose we zero these out. Are you snapping? You're snapping. Stop it. Okay, let's go ahead and apply that. Just delete you. I thought I turned the snapping off. Don't know why it got back on. Okay. The next thing that we want to do here is, let's go ahead and come over to here real quick. Do I want to have custom? Let me think. How do I want to show this visually? If you're interested, this is the current close to empty repo. Do you have, I forgot to ask, do you have a, is MJ going to be the, I guess this is your user. So VS Code, no, Lang. Well, do you have a name for the language yet? I like the license file. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was like your username on GitHub and you only had these two repos. That seemed unlikely, but I wasn't sure. Okay. I guess, yeah, it says the Jailmaker up there. Okay. Well, that'll be interesting. Let's go ahead and let that go. All right. So I'm going to like add some quick tooltips here. We're just going to say get a bool value stored in the session. Blech. What a terrible phrase, but it's fine for now. Get an integer value and get a string value stored in the session. Let's go ahead and save that. I need to probably make a custom. Well, yeah, I probably need to get. I need to make a custom inspector for this so that I can grab the GUID of this. So let's see. It's a GitHub organization. Okay, makes sense. Let's go ahead. I'm actually going to try to be sneaky about this. And I'm just going to go ahead and go to logic behavior. I really don't normally do this, but I'm going to try it. If Unity, oops, Unity editor, and if, say, public class, what do I want to call this? CG logic behavior editor, underscore logic behavior editor. I know you're not going to like me yet. Give me a second. So we're going to say using Unity. Oh, I can't because that's within the namespace. So I need to do this actually. You're not going to like this, are you? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Well, never mind. I'm just going to make it a custom or its own class then. I've kind of messed with the like same file scripts and editors before, but it always gets a little too messy for me. So it's probably best that I just make this a separate class. Okay, so we are going to go. Um, I might. Actually, that's probably not a bad idea. I'm going to go ahead and break content creation into its own DLL. So I'm going to go ahead and create assembly definition. We're just going to call this sleepyowl.textquest.custom adventure. Yes. So that's going to compile. It's going to break everything because I'm going to have to add a bunch of stuff. Go ahead and add. Oh boy, if it lets me. Oh yeah. It's going to take a while. So hopefully by putting these in their own assembly definition files, I'll be able to iterate a little bit faster because I won't have to recompile everything. Let's go ahead and we're going to need 3 things at least. We're going to need SOS. So we're going to need sleepyowl.common. We're going to need sleepyowl text quest. And we're also going to need text mesh pro. Let's see if that gets through everything. Give that a second. Custom game settings. What? Where are you? Why are you weirdly... Wait, what? So you're under the content creation banner, but you're just not... Oh, did I put you in the wrong one? No? You're totally there. Huh. Game settings. Ah, it's game settings. Game settings. Well, that unfortunately won't work. What the frig were you doing? Cool. Well, that backfired horribly. I guess we'll see what this is doing real quick. So 633, line 633. I don't really remember what custom game settings was initializing. Reload that. Give this a second. Let's see here. So 663. 633. Right. So we're gonna come down to here and on load. I think all this really does is just handle this. So I can move this custom game settings load function. Let's move this out of there and into, I'm going to say, custom game creation view. Ah, crap. What's it called? Let's go CG creation. Okay. Creation. I'm pretty sure it's called creation view. There are, of course, too many things here. So we're just going to do add nuts to it. Come down here. Views. Scripts. CG create view. And I think we want classic games. I don't know. We'll go to CG create view. Final reference where we open you up from. Oh, that's gonna mess with everything. Nope. 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 I can't do that. Frack. Because at some point my menus have to reference custom game stuff. Those can't be isolated because I'm opening them up via script or via type. Dang it, that sucks. Crap. So we just have to live with that. So much for me trying to be smart. I'll have to restructure somewhat if I'm actually going to do something like that. So need to get rid of this. European weather. What's wrong with you? It's 27 degrees Celsius at 9 p.m. Oof. It's currently in the high 70s here in the US, which I think is comparable, if I'm not mistaken. I'm always hazy on the actual conversion rates, but I'm pretty sure that around 30 degrees Celsius is somewhere close to 80, if I remember correctly. So we're going to go ahead and actually control. Oh, cool. So you're just going to do that. It's a good thing I copied it. So we're going to go ahead and let that go. Let you go. Let this all compile again. Yeah, I was pretty close. European weather predictions for the coming week. 40 degrees? Good God. I didn't realize it was. Well, I mean, I guess there's no reason why it wouldn't be. For some reason, I always thought that Europe was a little bit more temperate because it was slightly further north than some sections of the U.S. But then again, I guess some sections of the U.S. are just desert, even though they're pretty far north still. So. Yeah, that's a bit too hot. Have you thought about not having the weather be so hot there? I mean, do you guys not have a weather dominator machine? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and clear out those fun things. Let's get back to here and get rid of you. We're gonna go back to here. All right, so we have this set up. The next thing we need to do is I just need to make a custom editor for this. I was hoping to isolate this, but of course I'm not going to be that lucky. So, environment, great. You're somewhere stupid, aren't you? Because you're always somewhere stupid. Scripts, content creation, not data. What do I want to do this as? Logic, I suppose. create folder logic and then behaviors, I think. Yeah. Folder. And then core, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. It sucks, but I maintain a matching hierarchy for my editor scripts and the scripts that they are associated with. That way, as long as you know the path to a specific script, then you can kind of infer the path to the editor script for it if it has one. So this is going to be called CG underscore logic behavior editor. Create CG logic behavior editor. Open that up. Well, I suppose that Rome does have the Mediterranean, pulling in some heat there from Africa. It's all about those currents, those underwater currents. Picking up the warm water from the Gulf and cooling it off in the Arctic before delivering it to Europe. Okay, so this is going to be an editor, which I know you're not going to work yet, but we'll get you there. Don't worry. This is going to be text quest dot custom adventures, and we're going to say using Unity editor, and that's pretty much going to be it. So we're going to say custom editor type of CG underscore logic behavior with true afterwards. And actually, it's not going to be editor. It's going to be using sleepyowl.com and editor. Do I have this at home? I hope I have this at home. I don't. Of course I don't. Bah! Terribleness. Okay. I made a custom editor at work called Adaptive Editor, which basically draws everything. And I guess actually I'll just make this not look super pretty, but it'll be functional. So all we're going to do is we're just going to override on Inspector GUI. This is the very lazy way to do this, by the way. I'm going to say protected virtual void on enable with a capital O on enable. I'm going to say protected serialized property m GUID is equal to null. I'm just going to say m GUID is equal to serialized object.find property GUID. And all we're going to do is say if GUI layout dot button and then new GUI content grab GUID. And all we're going to do is say, this is the fun part, asset database dot, what are my GUID options? What are my path options? Generate unique asset path, GUID to asset path. Hold on. Oh, there's like a get path of some kind. Yeah, get asset path. So we're going to target that, and then we're going to say, I don't know if this actually returns the path of the GUID. It's kind of a crapshoot, so we're going to debug this. Debug.log. Just that, that's fine. Okay. And just real quick, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to mark this as read only. Of course, you're not using sleepy owl common. So it's going to be read only. Okay. Let's go ahead and let that all compile. I'm going to select my asset here, forget bool. We should see a button pop up here at the very top then, and GUID should now be grayed out, so I shouldn't be able to interact with it at all. Seems like the south of Belgium, where I live, is on the same latitude as Quebec City. Really? It's that far north? Well, I guess it is Belgium. Still, though. Yeah, so now I can't interact with GUID, which is fine because I don't actually want that to change. Okay, so that actually was the path. Um, and I'm sure that some people were scoffing as to why I wasn't sure when it says get asset path. That is purely because I think it's, what is it, like asset database dot load. There's some call that's supposed to return the path, but it returns a GUID, which is really stupid. So we want to do this. Asset database dot path to GUID. So we want to grab that GUID, and instead of saying debug.log, we're just going to say mGUID.string value is equal to that. And I suppose we'll do this just for the sake of my own sake. Undo.record object target, and then set GUID. All right, so we're going to go ahead and oh man. Oh man. Oh man. I don't actually know if this is going to work well or not. We'll find out. Nah, I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to cheat and say serialized object dot apply modified properties. I'm pretty sure that's what that's going to need. Oh man, fine. We'll just do this the old-fashioned. Serialized object dot update. I'm super paranoid about this sort of thing. Custom editors are they're not complicated once you know what to do with them, but they can have some weird hiccups. So I usually don't like doing anything before I call update on the object, and I obviously need to call apply modified properties at the end, otherwise it'll just get blown away. So okay, so that's now a thing. So now if I do this, you'll see that that populates, which is good, and those should be unique for every single one. So we're just gonna call grab GUID on all of those. Okay, so that gives me a unique GUID for all of my behaviors, and that also is nice because now I should be able to serialize that to JSON and have a unique ID for each behavior. That way I can load and unload them, or load the appropriate values whenever I need to. Okay, so we're going to move on from that to the JSON stuff. Or actually, I suppose we should probably start by getting this node placement stuff working, because right now you can show a list. Oh, shoot, I don't have, I didn't get that tooltip stuff set up. Let's jump over to that real quick, actually. We're going to open up Logic Map. US is just so far south. Well, we do have a giant Canadian neighbor to the north, so US kind of gets shoved down to be like the middle of the northern hemisphere, I feel. It's too far north to be tropical because that's mostly where Central America is, you know, like Mexico and Guatemala and all that. But but the U.S. is kind of like weirdly in the middle of the northern hemisphere, I feel. Okay, so we're gonna jump over to logic list, go to definition, and here, when we spawn our buttons, let's see, label. Shoot, this was already all done by JSON. Oh, that's so not good. Right. Right. Current JSON, which itself calls this. Excuse me. Logic labels. So we a JSON array, I believe it's just basic strings. But I probably want to change that. So we're going to do this. We're going to say JSON object collection JSON. I'm just going to call it JSON. JSON is equal to new JSON object. And we're going to say, we're just going to add JSON. And then I'm going to say JSON.add that stuff. And we will also, this is a logic behavior. I need the tooltip still. So we're going to go ahead and say JSON.add, blah, blah, not capitalized, collections, I can't spell, collections of I.behaviors of J.tooltip. Okay. Yes, that is correct. And we have to do the same thing here. So I'm going to, I should centralize this. I don't know what else I want to call this. I don't want to just do name and tooltip, but I probably will for now. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to call this behavior JSON actually. Okay. And then this is just a JSON object again. Awesome. And we're just kind of going through that, which really sucks. So we need to have an array of objects. Oh, man. Let me think. I really need to get a whiteboard in here. This would make things so much easier. US gets pushed down to one of the best geographic regions in the world. It's also one of the ones with the most fertile land. That is true. The US has a actually a pretty unique distribution of biomes in it. Like we have deserts, mountains, forests, plains, marshlands, like the whole 9 yards. Of course, part of that is attributable to its size, right? Like not a lot of countries are the sizes of Canada or the U.S., especially European countries, because they've been countries for so long that they kind of got their borders cemented a long time ago, or at the very least their regional borders, if not their national borders. Okay, so for this, I'm basically going to have, instead of a JSON object, it's going to be a JSON array of objects that have an array in them of their behaviors. So that complicates it a little bit, but that's fine. So this is going to be JSON array instead of a JSON object. We couldn't call clear on that. Then we are going to say JSON object collection JSON is equal to new JSON object, and then we're going to say collection JSON dot add blah blah blah, and then blah blah blah. I can't type. So this is going to be collections dot name is the value. No, no, no. Yes. Okay. So this is going to be the collection, I guess. No, it's going to be name. We're just going to add this. And this is actually going to be collections JSON. So then we're going to say collection JSON dot add behaviors followed by collection array. And then we're going to add collection JSON here. Okay, and that's going to change what we end up passing here. So this is going to be a JSON array now. So JSON array, copy this, And then when we come down here, I guess we can actually just call that dot clear. Okay, and down here, we're going to have fun. So instead of a for each loop, I'm going to need to do a for int I loop. I think that'll be fine. So we're just going to do this. We're going to do for int I equals 0, I is less than current JSON dot count I plus plus, and then we're going to say string. So for the collections, we just need to grab the actual value there. So we're just going to copy this. We're going to move this in here. Button is equal to that. Button.text is going to be equal to current JSON of I dot, well, it's going to be this actually, name. Oh, no. Oh, right. So we're going to grab this, and then we're going to say as JSON object. There we go. Let's see. I guess we could cache that. Or I could just say button.text. Button.text. Okay, and then we can also do the tooltip stuff, which I need to do here as well. So I'm going to come up to here. I'm going to say collection JSON.add tooltip collections of I dot tooltip. Okay, I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to copy this, paste that in, tooltip. Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of this. And now we should be able to do this. So the collection ID, oh, this gets complicated, doesn't it? So now I have to iterate through my current JSON to find a value, which is now an array. So, all right. So we're gonna say int index is equal to 0. Well, we'll say -1 actually. And we're gonna say for int I equals 0. I is less than current JSON dot count I plus plus. We're just gonna say if current JSON of I've got to do this whole thing. Index is equal to I break, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap this, wrap you, and say as JSON object, and then name is equal to collection ID. Okay, so if that's the case, we're going to do that, and break is going to be index. The collection array is not going to be that because current JSON is an array. That is correct, actually. But we're not done with that yet because I actually want to say is equal to that, and then we have to cast it as JSON object, and then this behaviors as JSON array. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and do collection array, and I have to cast it because I always have to cast it. And we're going to say as JSON object, and then name. Go ahead and copy this. This is going to be tooltip, and then tooltip. Okay, that should handle this. Let's go ahead and, out of curiosity, real quick. So I made this a pointer enter. Do I not show it? No, hold on. Let's go peak definition. Go to definition real quick. I need to change this. So on pointer enter, say if is hovered. We're going to say if is hovered and content not equal, hold on, and not string dot is null or empty tooltip content. Pretty sure that is the string there. I just want to make sure that if that's an empty string, that we're not showing the tooltip, because that doesn't really make sense. Okay, so that should take care of that, and now our logic list should have support for tooltips. And it will work perfectly because I never make mistakes. Okay. I probably should have shut the windows, though, because it is slowly creeping up in temperature here. Whew, it is hot. Let's go ahead and clear that out. Let's jump over to here, make sure that you're all looking good. And the behavior button won't really change much, so let's go ahead and just play. Okay. Up the parent. Oh? Nope, I must have done some sort of... Oh? The content on the tooltip button was not set? Debug. Yeah, there's my tooltip rect. Let's debug that. We're going to come down to here. Huh. So tooltip rect, it thought was null, but it's not. I mean, I'm looking at the field right there. Tooltip rect, behavior button. Huh. Let's see, logic list button. Line 24, which is that? Tooltip rect. I mean, you exist. Why is your content null? Okay, that value shouldn't be. Oh, wait, hold on. I bet that it is. Let's go ahead. Well, references, I bet this is being correctly set. Just to be sure, let's go logic list button. Content logic list 66. Yep, right there. Okay, so this is for show collections. I'm gonna go back here to logic map. Name tooltips. JSON of I as JSON object. Tooltip. I suppose I could probably debug this just to be sure. So let's, just out of curiosity, I'm going to debug what we're initializing our JSON as. So we're going to say debug.log JSON.toFormatted string with a pretty print set to true so that I can visually confirm the structure of it. I'm assuming that the value being passed in is null, and that's throwing a null reference for some reason, which is weird. You'd think that I would be able to I guess a string couldn't be null because it's a value, and values don't really have null values. Although that's funny because strings totally can be set to null. So, eh. Okay, so we're going to let this go. Okay, so we got there. Our tooltip is nothing. Behaviors, name and tooltip, name and tooltip, name and tooltip, name and tooltip. That's all correct. Is it because it's empty? Are you really that mad? Let's go to in-game here. We're just going to say test collection tooltip. We're going to go ahead and just say button.text is equal to name. It should be correct. I mean, we were grabbing our name. Why was the tooltip so messed up? Perhaps it wasn't casting it correctly? Oh, I didn't clear on play. Okay. I was gonna say, like, that's a little awkward. Okay, so you just don't show up? Whoa. Oh, it's because it's a separate thing. I only did it to that. Okay, yeah, that's me being stupid. Let's go ahead and copy this component. Paste this component as new. Let's debug this. Yeah, okay. Let's try that again. I forgot I made separate buttons for them so that I could have the arrow on the right there. Awesome. Probably need to have an actual transform for that. Um, mm, mm, mm. Maybe I can call initialize, and that would kind of make sense. So we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to go up to here. We're going to say that won't work. Frack. I suppose that, okay. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go to CG logic list button, go to definition. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and say public transform tooltip parent get return tooltip rect dot parent. I'm going to say set tooltip rect dot tooltip parent is equal to value. So we're going to go back up to here. We're going to say button dot tooltip parent is equal to this. Is equal to rect transform. Go ahead and copy that. I can get rid of you all now. I don't really need you. Same thing here. Let's see if we can get away with that. Okay, because otherwise I think what it does is it uses itself as its parent transform, which is why it was slightly to the right, but not really that much, because it's only 10 pixels off from whatever the far left point is. So we're going to... Are you serious? What do you mean you can't implicitly convert to those? They are... Rect transforms derive from... What? All right, fine. Oh, okay, that's fair. That may be silly. Let's just do that. So it was the other way around. I was gonna say, how can rect transforms not implicitly cast to transforms? And it was like, oh wait, no, transforms can't implicitly cast to rect transforms. Okay, so let's go ahead and clear this. Run over here. And we're just going to go ahead and say hit. Okay, you did not fly over to where I thought you were going to be. Let's come back over here. Background, scroll view, viewport, content, behavior, arrow. I'm sorry, tooltip. There we go. So it should be parented to this tooltip. And it is 10-ish pixels off to the right. Well, actually, it's 15, which is odd. Oh, padding might be doing something there. Well, no, that doesn't make sense. Why would you be 15? And also -5. Okay, let's go up here to the button. Your 10 offset. Let me think. We want our anchors min to be X and Y. Cancel. Let's go to the tooltip. So I think I actually wanted this to be pivoted from the right. No, I want its pivot to be top left, but I want its anchors to be far right. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump down to here. Where on my button pretty fast, right here. So we're going to do this. We're going to set our anchors min to be 1 in the X, 1 in the X, 1 in the X, 1 in the X. All right, and we want our tooltip pivot to be left all the way and up all the way. Yep. Okay, so this should fix that problem. Derive to base, implicit, base to derive, explicit. Yes. In my language, it's struct to interface, implicit interface to struct, explicit. Makes sense. All right, let's go ahead and hit this, and boom. Although it's a little awkward because it's being clipped by that mask, which kind of makes sense, but we have to do something like this. Ooh. Oh dear, what has happened? What has happened to you? My friend. This is bad. I don't know what happened there. That looked like an old issue where it wasn't clearing properly. Let's cancel this. Cool. Why again? Oh. Because the second time it doesn't exist. Well, that takes us back to here. Where are you getting cleared at? Oh, it's on clear. Oh, right. It's on clear here. Hold on. Where are you? I could have sworn that current JSON gets cleared. Yeah, on cleanup. So I suppose I shouldn't call clear because that's clearing the original array. Instead, I should do what I was doing, which is just say is equal to new JSON array. I suppose that makes sense. I was wondering why I was calling, or I wasn't calling clear there, but that makes sense because it's a value reference type instead of a. It's not immutable. So, okay. So this should fix that issue. Once it compiles. All right, let's give it a shot. Cancel that. All right, nice. Test collection tooltip. Oh dear. That's a good question. I suppose I should call hide tooltip if it's clicked. Let's try this. Get a bool value stored. Yep. All right, cool. So we have tooltips in there now. They do not move along with it, which is problematic. Because those are masked. So, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, I suppose that's not the end of the world. Okay, let's go ahead and hit play there. We're going to stop this. And I'm going to get rid of this log. So on click for these things, we're going to go to logic list button. Let's see if we can get this. We're going to call base pointer click, and then I'm going to go ahead and say tooltip rect. Oops, sorry, not that. Tooltip rect dot. I don't remember if I have a manual hide for this or not. I don't think I do. I'm going to have to add that. That's not what I wanted. Go to definition. Okay, so on pointer exit, we have a delay. If is hovered. Ah, there we go. Okay, so we want to call tooltip.hide. Is there a way for me to reference you? No, so I'm going to have to manually add that then. So we're going to go ahead and do public void hide. And then we'll do this. Public void hide float fade. You're not cooperating with me. On tooltip faded. So I need the callback. Yeah, that's fine. So we're gonna go ahead and just do hide tooltip fade. Wow, totally failed at that. Tooltip fade duration on tooltip faded. Go ahead and copy this. Fade duration. So I'm gonna copy that. Why are you mad? Oh, right. And this is just going to be tooltip dot hide. Okay, so we're going to come up to here, and all we're going to do here is say tooltip rect dot hide, and I'm going to wrap this with if is hovered. Well, actually, no, that's not even correct. If is hovered and delay is less than 0, less than or equal to 0. And do we set the tooltip? Hold on, tooltip. Okay, so we're going to say if tooltip does not equal null. That's the easiest thing to do there. All right, so let's go ahead and let that compile. So now, when we click on a button of any kind, it should basically. Sorry, I was thinking through two things at once. If we click on a button, it should get rid of the tooltip. I was thinking about if I could or could not parent the tooltip to the button itself. And I was like, is that menu using any masks? And then I was like, oh wait, no, we have a scroll rect, which means Yes, we are using a mask. So that won't work. I kind of wish that Unity actually had a like I non-maskable or something like that that would just ignore masks. That would be nice. I I bet I could do something like that on my own, outside of like whatever Unity has by default. I bet it wouldn't be too bad. Because I think essentially that would just be ignoring the stencil buffer. If I am throwing my terminology around correct. So I'm going to do this. Hooray! Isn't that nice? Ooh, that gets more complicated. Crap baskets. What to do about that? Because the coroutine thing is a problem, because that's going to happen now. Should I instead reparent it then? That would solve one of the problems. Yeah, okay. I'm going to come over here to logic list. Oh, man, that sucks. Okay. Think. Um, shoot. We essentially need to deparent it at the same time, but we can't just set it to no parent, because if a rect transform, well, not a rect transform, but um, if a graphic of any kind, so like an image or text, gets placed anywhere other than underneath a canvas, it just won't render. So I don't want it to just pop out of existence. I would like to smoothly fade away, which means that I need to have a tooltip parent here that they can get set to when they're clicked on. Oh, that's terrible. Okay. So we're going to do this, I suppose. Tooltip, private, rect transform, tooltip, parent is equal to null. Why did I say it's equal to an empty string? It's equal to null. Rect transform to parent tooltips 2. I'm going to come over here to logic list. We're just going to throw in a transform tooltip parent. This is a rect transform, I believe, originally. Yeah. So we're going to actually come back here, paste you, come back here, tooltip parent. Okay, and then we're going to come down to here, and we're just going to say private rect transform tooltip parent is equal to null. And then we're going to come down to here, and we're going to say private tooltip, sorry, rect transform tooltip parent, get return tooltip parent, does not equal null, question mark. If so, we're going to return tooltip parent. Otherwise, tooltip parent is equal to rect transform. Okay. And then, oh man, we gotta do this. When we call, oh man, yep, that sucks. All right, so we gotta go to logic list button, and now I need a separate rect transform for the fade out. Gross. Serialized. Actually, it's not even gonna be serialized. It's just going to straight up be. It is going to straight up be just a regular getter setter. There's a public rect transform tooltip fade parent. We're just going to say get set. Okay. And all we're going to do here now is on our logic list, when we do all this fun stuff, we're going to say button dot tooltip fade parent is equal to tooltip parent, capital T. I really feel like I should just have an initialize function at this point because I have so many freaking things. So we're just going to go ahead and say public void initialize. It's going to take, what, 2 strings? String name, string tooltip, string, what am I sending over? Right, rect transforms. Tooltip parent, rect transform, tooltip fade parent. Alright, I'm also just going to rename this text. So this is going to be text is equal to text, tooltip is equal to tooltip. This, actually, I guess it's just going to be tooltip parent is equal to tooltip parent, and tooltip fade parent is equal to tooltip fade parent, I suppose. Yeah. I don't need to do validation on that. That should be fine. Which means that I can now shorten these things down to just one line, which is nice. So we'll be able to say button.initialize. And then it will be this, followed by this, followed by this, followed by this. Okay. So let's go ahead and copy that, because we're going to need that back down here. So this is going to be right here. Paste that. Paste you. All right. So let's try this again. So now, when we fade out, oh shoot, of course I forgot the most important thing. There we go. So let's let that compile real quick. Got the first thing committed, basic VS Code plugin for very basic syntax highlighting. Nice. Syntax highlighting is always very much appreciated. I really hate when keywords do not highlight properly. That was actually one of the biggest problems I had with coding shaders for a long time. And back before I started using Visual Studio, some of the IDEs that I had were pretty rough in that regard. I still remember Unitron, I think is what it was, and it sort of did highlighting, but it was rough all around, to be sure. Frack. Give it a second. Where are you? You're somewhere around here. What the frig? Why is the tooltip... What? What? Hold on. Oh, that's why. You got me. You got me. gonna say like, you should not be invisible. You should definitely not be parented to that. Hmm. Give this a second. All right. Clear this. Hit play. Okay. So there's that. Ah! You suck. Oh, right. Mm. Well, nope. Yep, right there. Set parent. Tooltip parent. Um. Oh, that's why. I got to rearrange that. Otherwise, on click will be called before the reparenting happens, which means that will have been disabled already. So that was my fault. My out of order issues. Hmm. Okay. Go ahead and hit play. Hmm. Click. Okay. And then we click. You repositioned yourself, didn't you? So we didn't get the error. This is from the last time. So I'm going to have to pause and then immediately hide. Well, pause and then immediately try to find where it is, I guess. This is going to be fun. Oh man, this is going to be super hard. I don't have the finger reach for this. Ah, this sucks. Okay. I have to try to... Nope, you're not going to work. Can I do Control-Shift-P from one side? Nope, it's of course... Oh, good, I can, actually. Okay. Okay, where are you? You got deleted, didn't you? Nope, you're there. Okay, let's see. You are recycled in the tool to... Oh, it's because I didn't... Right, hold on. Let's see here. Tooltip parent. Tooltip parent, which is here. Yes, okay, so we need to say... so we're just going to say this dot tooltip parent is equal to tooltip parent. So of course I forgot the most obvious code, and this should be being set correctly, I believe. Yep, right there, which is part of this right here. Okay, so I suppose I would want this to be the parent, the mask. All right. Let's go ahead and save, play. The YouTube algorithm is acting weird, showing recommendations for kids channel when viewing a music live stream. Yeah, I've noticed that happen to me in the past too. Um, the weirdest thing that I remember happening was I had left my Chromecast connected to YouTube on autoplay overnight, and I just like shut off my TV and went to bed. But I didn't disconnect my phone, and somehow with autoplay turned on, it got from like Grand Theft Auto 5 parody videos to children's TV shows. And I'm talking like preschooler TV shows. And I have no idea how that transition happened because I was not watching kid friendly content at all. Um, I assume it has to do with how the algorithm processes and associates videos. Like maybe it decides that kids watch Grand Theft Auto videos, and because of that, maybe it should recommend kids video. I don't know. It's a mystery to me. Um, okay, so let's click this, and yes, gotcha. Let's make sure that you recycled properly too. Hooray! Well, cool. Let's click back on here real quick. Try to. Ooh, okay. So I was a little worried about that. Trying to click on you. Oh, what the freak is happening here? Yeah, I don't know why you are. Oh, I think I know. So here's the problem. I don't think that it registers that it's gone once I click on it. That's why this happens. Okay. So let's go ahead and stop playing real quick, and I'm going to go down to. Wow, it got dark super fast. I'm guessing it's going to rain. Um, it went from like daytime to almost nighttime in like 5 minutes. Good God, everything got dark. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of these, and on click for the logic list button, we need to article and hide. Let's go to definition here. Hide, hide. So if this is the case, then we are going to call, say, is hovered is equal to false. Yes. And we need to. Should I set the tooltip to be equal to null right away? Nope, can't do that. Crap. Um, yep, there's the rain. Okay, I'm gonna finish. Actually, give me a second, real quick. I gotta make sure that my window isn't getting. I gotta close the window real quick. Ha! Sorry about that. All right, thanks for stopping by, Jill Mega. There's a TED Talk that shows how the algorithm can go to kids' channels and weird and ugh. YouTube really needs to get its shit together. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this up. Um, what to do about this. So I can't set it to null. I have to add an extra bool, don't I? Gross. Gross. Gross, gross, gross. I don't want to do that. That's gross. I mean, I don't really... Protected bool. Actually, a simple thing to do is let's go over to here. Float duration, if duration is greater than 0, fade routine, stop fade routine. Crud. No. I don't want to do... Actually, it might not matter. It might just be a concern I don't have to worry about. Because it's possible that this coroutine will just pick up right where it left off, and I'm pretty sure that's actually the case. Because, yeah, we have a fade lerp that gets stored, so it'll basically just stop it for one frame and then start it again immediately, which is not efficient necessarily, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So let's go ahead and let this compile, and we should be good. There we go. So we're not getting that weird behavior anymore. Cool. All right. I think we're going to end the Devstream there. So our context menu here is much... I've been using the spacebar like I meant to. So our context menu here is much more fleshed out now. We have tooltips. We have a better JSON structure for it. And we kind of have the seeds of values started, but we have a ways to go before that's really 100% solved. So announcements. I should be good to stream at our standard times next week. I apologize that it seems like for the past couple of weeks I haven't really been able to get a good solid week of streaming going. But I think my schedule's cleared up a fair amount now, so hopefully I won't have any more late nights at the office that will mess with my schedule, and we'll be able to get back to a regular streaming schedule. So aside from that, I guess a long-term announcement is July 20th, I think, that night, which is a Thursday, I believe. I could be wrong. There's a local gaming event, so I'm going to be going to that. And if that is on a Tuesday or Thursday, I will be going to that instead of doing my stream. But that's a month out, so we don't really have to worry about it for a little bit. Aside from that, I think we are good for the day. So, as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.